you are extremely knowledgeable, especially in the area of philosophy. What are some resources you would recommend to anybody leaving religion? I know you've already spoken a lot about this. So the specific resources that you would send people.
So I
Both.
recommend that everyone, and this is everyone, regardless of where you're coming from, Islam or not, every human being, at least today, until there's a better book, read The Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch.
Okay.
Or maybe something even higher than that, I would put above it, is there's this parenting philosophy called Taking Children Seriously, made by Sarah Fitz-Claridge. She's writing a book. It's not done yet. So when the book is ready, I would point people to that. Right now, it's a website and a bunch of essays and her on Twitter and a lot of posts on her Twitter. She was actually working with David Deutsch on it too. The same guy who wrote The Beginning of Infinity. In my daughter's words, she said, me learning that philosophy was the thing that helped our relationship more than anything. I guess I should give a little bit of rundown of what it is.
Okay.
Um, so it's not extremely new or like made up recently. There's people going back 200 years that said things that were compatible with this philosophy, taking children seriously. Where you're respecting children as full human beings like any other human beings.
Yeah.
But I guess what is new from 200 years ago is a lot of help in really making a full package philosophy, instead of like what existed 200 years ago was more like this pretty awesome philosopher that talked about 1,000 things, and there was this one little area, not even in a chapter about parenting, where he mentions some parenting concepts. This is full package parenting, and it's heavy on the philosophy side of things, epistemology, the study of knowledge. It's very clearly saying, look, parenting is education. That's a big role that parents have to do for their kids. Whether you believe that or not, it is happening. You're educating your kids. And if you don't understand how learning works, then you're going to get it wrong. So it explains how learning works. Well, that means you have to understand that's the topic. There is epistemology. The field is epistemology. But I want to give a word of caution to people. Don't just look for ideas that claim to be epistemology. That's a mistake. I would use different words. The scientific approach, that is epistemology. So you need to look it, and an even more broad way to say it. Learn ideas about how to judge ideas from any field, regardless of what field they claim they're coming from. So you shouldn't be somebody like this. There are people like this. Suppose I'm a physicist, and then somebody who claims to be a philosopher says, hey, I have this great idea. Everyone should use it. And the physicist says, no, I'm going to ignore you because you claim to be an epistemologist, not a physicist. That's effectively what a lot of people are doing. That is like what a cult does. Look how I'm bringing it down. I'm calling. So in some ways, the group of people that call themselves physicists, some of them are doing cult behaviors. Same with chemists, biologists, and every other group of people. So it's not just the religions. So
Yes.
as an example, so people don't think I'm crazy, even Richard Feynman explained some of these things 50 years ago in his speech in 1974, the Caltech commencement speech, 1974. He dedicated the entire speech to this one thing. What he said was, um, uh, even he even used these words. Even physicists are doing some of these, what he called cargo culting. I'm calling cult behaviors. So, if you imagine all the steps you need to be taken to do science, um, and then you skip some of them in favor of another goal. Let's say the goal is, hey, we need more funding for our department.
Yeah.
And in order to get more funding for our department, we need more publications. Not more valuable publications. We need more publications. So we can skip some of the science steps. That's what's happening. I'm calling those cult behaviors. Some physicists are doing that. Or maybe not necessarily physicists, but because physicists are working for organizations and people that are not physicists, sometimes they have to just do what the higher ups say. And, it's not so easy to just quit and go get another physics job.
Right, right, exactly. And I love how that ties it in full circle, right? Where this is more than any one ideology, the identification of a way of thinking that is sorely needed in the world. And that's kind of your passion, is to bring that back. It would have helped you in the past, and it would help a lot of people, regardless of where they're coming from, especially if they're, unpacking a worldview that is deeply not against that. And we find it, unfortunately, to some degree or another in the West as well. And so I appreciate the recommendation. Check out Beginning of Infinity.
I'd like to say one more thing. So,
Yeah.
a small thing. Maybe it's not small. So, June 14th, what was that? 2 or 3 months ago? June 14th was the 50th anniversary of that speech by Richard Feynman.
Okay.
I chose that day to be the birth of Uniting the Cults, and I did a 6.5 hour live stream.
Okay.
3 interviews, and it was all about trying to bring back that knowledge from Richard Feynman and others, including David Deutsch, Sarah Fitz-Claridge, and a lot of other things, all in one package. If you watch that 6.5 hours, that'll catch you up to like 90% of the stuff I would like to say.
Amazing. That's so cool that you were able to consolidate it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rami.